on the far side of town, sharing a dream with anyone. She's made it through heaven, she's made it through hell. It's just another story to tell. Have you ever felt you're missing the dream? Have you ever wished your life was like the movie on the screen? Filled with heartbreaks and fights through Hollywood nights. Making up a bar queen on the phone in the great big boulevard, the place she belongs. It's just another story she tells. Have you ever felt you're missing the dream? Have you ever wished your life was like the movie on the screen? Filled with heartbreaks and fights through Hollywood nights. Through Hollywood nights. Through Hollywood nights.
From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. Hey yo, heart of a villain beats hard in the centrifuge. Bearded BP, 100 interviews. All it takes is 2 mics and 1 line. This is Bearded Villains podcast worldwide. Driving cross countries, getting ball tires. Fam across ponds, always inspired. Chapters connect, and then it's on fire. Check your phone, cause BV is like a live wire. They said that we couldn't do it and that another could. Never underestimate the power of brotherhood. Every bro, every chapter, every caption. Heart of a villain, bro, lights, camera, action. Action, action, action. Let's go. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart. It's the heart.
April 14th, 2022. It is Thursday night, and this is The Heart of a Villain, the podcast and live stream devoted to the Bearded Villains Worldwide Brotherhood and the lives they are changing all over the world. Tonight, this is episode 130. We have made it to episode 130. It feels good to say that. Feels good to say. It's a lot of work, a lot of fun, but man, 130 of these episodes in. Very, very cool stuff. At some point this year, we're going to hit 3 years, I believe, if my math is correct. 2019, 20, yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, hey, guys, thanks so much for being here. If you're here with me live, if you're listening on a standard podcast platform, thank you so much as well for being here. This is BP. I am the captain of the Bearded Villains Northern Indiana and the host of The Heart of a Villain. So tonight, guys, I'm gonna take you on a little bit of a journey, I guess. We're gonna go deep. We're gonna talk about some deep stuff, and I hope that those of you who are here live will join in the conversation and hang with us and give some of your opinions, your thoughts as well, because I'll be honest, some of what I'm going to say may not be agreed upon by so many people. And it definitely is probably not going to be agreed upon by some of the older folk, I guess, that's been around BV for a long time. But who knows? We'll see. There's a topic as we ramble through the topic of the night, which is asking the question of what is your why? What is your why? And that's a really, truly a deep subject, and it can go in a whole litany of directions. But I want to focus in on the generalization of your why and then how it's led you to BV and taking your why and applying it to BV. So we're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. But first off, I got to give a big shout out to the boys at the BVC for their awesome hat. This right. I saw somebody in the comment section asking if this is a Chicago hat. Yes, it was made by the Chicago boys. Very, very cool. I love the font. I love it. Just says villains on it. Very cool shirt, or very, very cool hat. I don't wear baseball caps very often, but when I saw this thing, I said, man, I got to get this thing. And it's perfect. It's like a deep, it's not quite a maroon. I don't think it's not quite a red. It kind of goes with one of our, main chapter colors, and it's just, it's just a badass hat. So, big shout out to you guys for that. I want to say hi. I was trying to get through a few different things here before the show kicked off. And if I can get my monitor thing working here, I want to say hi to some peeps here who are here live with us. We want to say hello to, of course, Rob. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. His typical salutation from all the way over in the UK. It is early. But good morning to you, sir, and good evening to all of us. Ty, how you doing? Good evening, all, he says. Yes, good evening. Rob thought for some reason I was AWOL. Not AWOL. We just had some last-minute schedule change here at the family homestead here, and I had to scurry the last 15 minutes before air to make sure I could get on and that I had everything in place. Mars is here hanging out with us as well. How you doing, Mars? Good to see you here. Kyle hanging out saying, evening, brothers. How you doing? Jeremy is also here with us. Good to see you here. Thanks for being here. Frank and Beans. I just love that. Franks and Beans is hanging out with us also. I think there's that bearded man, he says. The bearded AF vet. That's right, buddy. I'm here hanging out. Good to see you all. Mr. Morix. I have to say it that way just because it's spelled that way. How you doing? Good hanging out with us tonight. Big Mike is here with us as well. Thank you for being here, taking some time out on your Thursday night. Rich, how you doing? Good evening. Hello. Much love and respect, everyone from Canada. Good to see you. Hey, look at this. Radar's here as well. Radar's here. I'm going to be mentioning something Radar mentioned a little bit later. He said something as I was preparing for this episode. As the week went on, he went. I'll just talk about it later. But he did an IG live, and it was awesome stuff. Love to see it. So thank you guys so much for being here. Like I said, this is episode 130 of The Heart of a Villain, and man, awesome stuff, guys. We're going to be getting deep. Now, we have a whole bunch of merch going through tonight. I will say this, I had, sadly, I could sit here, as I've said before, and just do an entire broadcast of just merch and just say, this is and be 30 minutes or 45 minutes of just merch for all the stuff that from time to time when we have certain drops that happen around the world with different chapters. Like I said, it all seems to happen sometimes at the same time. But what I try to do is I focus on it when there's lots of chapters putting stuff out. I focus in on the ones that have pushed it out on IG and made the effort that it's come across my my pages that I've seen it, or they reached out to me specifically. Now, there's some chapters that you'll see they probably have multiple things going at once. They have several drops, and so I can't show you everything that some of these chapters are doing. If possible, I can show you one or two things. So I will apologize for that. But if for some reason, and this is why I tell you guys, because when certain times of the year kick off, there's going to be times where I'm going to miss some of the merch that our chapters are putting out, especially if it's trying to raise money for, guys for different charity events, especially that. So I want to make sure I'm not missing out on that. So make sure that you're sending me messages, including me in some of that stuff, to let me know, hey, my chapter's up to this. This is what we'd be doing. So that's what it is. So without further ado, let's get into some merch stuff here, guys, and talk chapter merch. Merch tonight. First up, and this will probably be the last time I mention this because it's been on here for about 5 weeks now, I believe. So we're going to move on to some of the other stuff, other chapters after this tonight. But West Virginia X Factor. This is awesome. And I'm looking at somebody saying no sound. Okay. Kyle, don't scare me like that. All right, so the West Virginia X Factor, bvwv.bigcartel.com. Very cool blue and gold patch, and it's their X Factor in the shape of their state. Good stuff, good stuff. The Swampside Villains have a Memorial Day limited edition patch that they're putting out. There's a pre-sale. I do not have the end date on this, but if you want one, don't wait. Pre-sale, $15 USD at swampsidevillains.bigcartel.com. Swampsidevillains.bigcartel.com. Incidentally, one of the things that you guys will know. So next up, we have they're saying no sound again, and I don't see anything that tells me that at all. I'm seeing sound everywhere on all of my registers and the live register. So I'm not sure what we've got going there. But I don't know what else I can do, guys. The Bearded Villains Miami have a autism awareness shirt and patch, $22. $22 for the shirt, $22 and up based on your shirt size. $10 for the patch. It's their puzzle patch. And only hearing when graphics are on the screen. Okay, so let's try something here. All right, there we go. There was a setting on this window for some reason that was muted. All right, so we're back at it now. Okay, so back at this, the autism release from Miami. Moving on, Bearded Villains Wales. This is a couple set. This is a set where a couple of chapters are still doing some patches to raise money for our bros in Ukraine. Bearded Villains Wales. Their Peace Not War It's available at beardedvillainswales.bigcartel.com. Beardedvillainswales.bigcartel.com is where you can grab that one. This next one up here is still out there and available by Bearded Villains ENC. Bearded Villains ENC, their Ukraine patch, $15. PayPal to BV Eastern North Carolina at gmail.com. BV Eastern North Carolina at gmail.com for that one. Very cool stuff. All this support for the Ukraine guys. And it just keeps going on. Bearded Villains ENC also, in addition to their Ukraine patch, they have their puzzle patch, their patch for autism. Has their logo smack dab in the middle of 4 different colored puzzle pieces. Very cool patch. $12, $14 international, available again at BV Eastern North Carolina at gmail.com for PayPal. And then finally, also regarding the Ukraine efforts, Bearded Villains Switzerland is still selling their own patch. They didn't make a specific patch for it, but it's your chance to get the Switzerland patch with the proceeds that will be going towards Ukraine also. Very cool that they're doing that. New York Upstate. BV New York Upstate. They're doing a couple things. Well, actually, they're doing several things. This is one of those chapters that made this huge merch drop. And we have a handful of chapters that do that. They do a big merch drop of all sorts of stuff to a store where you can grab any one of the things you want to. And it's so this is just 2 of the items I think that are of several that you can get for New York Upstate right now. But they just released, and these are the kind of cool ones that I saw. Silicone pint glass pre-order they're doing, $16.95. It looks like it's going to be a blue pint glass. Very cool. $16.95. And then they just also released this Memorial Day patch this week. $12. Embroidered patch, 3 inches high, says New York Upstate, and it's got their logo with, it's just you got to go check this thing out. So their Memorial Day patch, they're available at bvnewyorkupstate.bigcartel.com. bvnewyorkupstate.bigcartel.com. If you want to grab, if you're here in the States and you want to grab some merch from overseas, here's another chance for you. Or if you just live in England and you want to grab one from your side of the country or your side of the world. Bearded Villains Central England celebrating their 4-year anniversary with this T-shirt. There's a pre-order from now until May 1st. 21 Great British pounds, 21 pounds plus shipping to your address. 4-year anniversary shirt. Good to see. Also, Bearded Villains Finland. Bearded Villains Finland has their summer pre-order shirt out there. It is 25 euros for 2 different versions of their summer shirt that they're putting out for Bearded Villains Finland. And that's what I've got right now, boys and girls, for the merch. If for some reason I'm missing out on some of your merch, then I apologize. Like I said, make sure that you get me a note down the road so I can include it. I had a question from Radar asking what I was sipping on. I think he may have asked me when the delay was happening between the time that I actually said it and the time that he saw it. Yeah, it's a little 115 tonight. It's the Old Forester 115. Good stuff. Or at 115 proof. It's the 1920. But anyway, you know what I mean, if you know bourbon. Okay, so I only really have one thing. Mars. Mars, dude, I know you're just messing with me, but I do apologize. So many buttons, and the Lakeshore stuff is, as I mentioned, Lakeshore is out there. They have a constant store, and they're always putting stuff out. So, as I've said in the past, I had to remove yours this past week, I think. So I do apologize. But get over there, grab the merch from Lakeshore as well. I'll say it that way. The only chapter news really specifically that I found that someone sent to me, let's get into that. Okay, so I want to just give a quick shout out to the Blackshire Villains. The Blackshire Villains, they did their Easter drop-off for the children's ward at Pinderfields Hospital. Pinderfields Hospital. Now, I know that there's a bunch of other chapters doing things right now. And I can't, like I said, be in the preparation for each episode, as I've said before, I want to be able to share everything. But sometimes I just don't have the time to just scour the internet for what chapters are doing. So if possible, please include your, send me a little note, a little photograph of what some of you guys are doing out there, because I want to include it. So, but congrats to the Blackshire Villains, and doing good stuff. Okay, well, my camera has decided that it wants to not focus on me again, so I'm going to do some gymnastics here and see if I can get this camera to refocus on me. There we go. All right, and it doesn't seem to want to. All right, so those of you looking at me in person will be looking at me blurry for a few minutes. So I do apologize for that. So what I want to do, guys, next is I want to real quick mention, if you are in the comments section, if you are here live, normally you know that I have been putting a link in the description. I'm going to keep talking while I try to refocus. Normally I have a link in the description for the crowdfunding campaign for the film. I'm not doing that today because I wanted to try something different. I pinned a comment. This is for everybody that's live. I pinned a comment in the comments section, and that is a direct link to the MS Walk for my charity page that I'm raising money for the team for Bearded Villains, Indiana, for this weekend's MS Walk. I would really, really, really appreciate it if tonight, during the broadcast, if anybody, some of you guys that are live with me here tonight, if some of you guys could click that link and just donate a couple bucks, $5. It doesn't have to be a lot. Like you said, for these things, every little bit helps. And if there's any way possible that a handful of you guys could do that, it would really greatly appreciate. I would really greatly appreciate it. It goes towards our team for this weekend, our team goal. And just because I have this resource here to be able to talk to you guys live, I wanted to include that. And so if you are live, checking in with us, the link is there. I put it in the comments section. It's pinned. You can click on that, and just, if there's any way possible for you to donate a couple bucks tonight for the MS Walk. MS is a terribly debilitating disease that most people, you know a little bit about it, but until you really start to look into it, or if you don't know anybody, that is stricken with it, like so many things in this world, just seems unfair. So we're going to be doing the MS Walk this week, and if there's any way, like I say, you can donate to that. I want to get into, this kind of goes into the next phase of the show here, where we're going to be talking about your why, your kind of purpose, right? And so what I want to do is, yes, we're going to be talking 3 inspiring minutes. I'm bringing this one back. It's been gone for a couple weeks. We haven't done the 3 inspiring minutes for a bit. 3 inspiring minutes. We're going to be talking about a little quote that I found from Bishop T.D. Jakes. T.G. Jakes. But before I get to that, I did want to say, sometimes when we're looking for quotes, inspiring words, and different things like that, every once in a while, you come across one of these famous people that says something that you just don't agree with 100%, right? There might be a part of what they say that you agree with, and maybe in our own thought processes, we're taking it out of context from what they meant it to be. But I came across this today, and when I was looking at talking about this quote I'm going to be talking about in just a minute for T.D. Jakes, and it just kind of hit me wrong as far as I didn't agree with it fully. So I wanted to share it with you guys. It's from Vincent van Gogh. because we're going to be talking in a minute about your purpose, your why, what gets you out of bed, all that stuff. So he said, your profession is not what brings home your paycheck. Your profession is what you were put on this earth to do with such passion and such intensity that it becomes a spiritual calling. That it becomes spiritual in calling. And I've always been from the thought process of, my job is not who I am. My job is not me. I am so much more than my job, no matter what my job has always been. And so this just hit me wrong to think that your profession is what you were put on this earth to do. I don't agree with that. I do agree with the fact that your profession is what brings home your paycheck. It has to be for so many people. The number of people out there in the world whose true profession, what they do for a living to bring home their paycheck, the number of those people who are truly, truly, and honestly doing exactly what their heart tells them they could do is few and far between. So many people are forced into a job that they kind of like, but if they had their way, they would be doing something completely different. If they were doing it for happiness, for their dream. So I did not agree with this at all. But I do believe in something that, I do believe in the thought that it doesn't have to be your profession, but you can find something and you can push with something, with an intensity, with a white-hot intensity, that you can create something that becomes your passion. You can find that passion, and it doesn't have to be a profession. You can have a job and do other things. But I just disagreed with that, so I had to include, I did mention this because I was getting into that today. We're talking about that. But our 3 inspiring minutes with Bishop T.D. Jakes, this quote I saw it and I really loved it because it really goes along with what I want to talk about here today. And he said, if you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. For your passion will lead you right into your purpose. I love that. I love that. If you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. For your passion will lead you right into your purpose. I think that so many times we seem like we have to follow some norm, right? There's somebody else's feeling of what we're expected to do. And I know that if you're a child of the 80s, of the 70s that grew up about that time frame, there were expectations that were put upon you. And it was expected, as I try to refocus again, every time I go to that one slide, it goes wonky on me. But you were expected to do a certain thing, act a certain way. It was thought of that your responsibility to yourself, to your family, was, to do this, and your own feelings, your own passion had to have a back seat. And I can understand that in some ways if it's specifically applied to you're trying to fulfill that need for the family financially. But the thought that you can't find your own purpose, you can't find your own drive, that you can't find that passion for something is seriously wrong. That's what this life is about. And it leads right into the topic that I want to talk about today, talking about your passion and talking about your why. And so today, I'm going to flip over here. And one of the things, as I mentioned earlier, for some reason I can't get this thing to focus. Problems with the live stream, folks. and stay there for a second. Maybe it will stay focused. No, it's not going to. All right. Well, you guys may just have to stare at me in a very unfocused way for the rest of the night. I don't know. We'll see. Unless I stand up and completely block things. It's not working. Stand by one, folks. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens here. So, what I wanted to talk about here is I wanted to explore what is your why. Because everyone is different, right? Everyone has that different why. What is it that makes you wake up in the morning? What is it that drives you? What is it that's your passion? What is it? Do you have something that wakes you up in the morning? Do you have something and it doesn't have to be your profession. It doesn't have to be your job. Is there some part of your life that fulfills you with such pride, with purpose, that aside from what your profession is and what you do for a living job-wise, is there something that is that passion thing that wakes you up and fulfills you every morning? And there's all sorts of books out there that talk about finding your why, quizzes and ways that you can kind of ask yourself those, crazy questions. But it's important to think about it, I think, to look inside yourself, to realize what that why is, what that thing is. Or are you just existing? If you don't have that feeling, that purpose, it's very easy to fall into that trap that you're just existing. And there's so much more to life than just that. And that's what I wanted just to explore tonight. I want to just ask yourself, what is it that truly makes you happy in your life? And I'm going to take this beyond just general life and life in general, but also explore how this connects to bearded villains. If you're a villain, or if you're a supporter of bearded villains, if you support the message that the bearded villains stand for, it's very easy to think something very simple. What do you like to do? Well, I like to help people. Well, I want to make the world a better place. And those are two of the most typical things that when people ask you, what is your drive? What is your purpose? What is your why? Usually those kind of two of the most common used things. But you have to look inside yourself even deeper to really truly figure out what is your why. Your life experiences, the good, the bad, they all have an impact on who you are, the person that you are today. And those things can significantly alter and affect your why. Two people, I can have the same purpose or why that I like to talk about. I can have the same one that somebody else has. But how we get there, because of our own life experiences, be it, geographically, be it environmentally, be it the climate that you grew up in your home life, all of these factors come into play and really significantly change what your why is, even if your why is similar to somebody else's. For me, it's easy to say that I want to be the best example I can for my kids and do whatever I can to positively impact and affect other people's lives. But that alone isn't enough. So I ask myself again, why? because I've seen the good and the bad in people. Why? Well, because in my 20 years plus in law enforcement, I saw the absolute worst in people. I saw how truly cruel people can be toward one another. And that marks you. That causes a permanent imprint on you. I know, speaking for myself, when I got into law enforcement, my whole goal was I wanted to help out the community, and I wanted to be a positive role model. I wanted to help protect people, and I wanted to help prevent people from harming others. And you go in with these rose-colored glasses that you're going to be able to do all these things and help out and all this other stuff. But the experiences that you see and that you come across in those first 5 years change your life. And some people end up leaving that career early on because of the things that they see and that they experience. But it's those experiences, the good and the bad, but those things have a very big impact on my why. Because I think it's very simple to think you could just have a why for your entire life, but I think it changes based on where you're at in your life, right? My why when I was 17 years old would have been completely different than the why at 35. And that's still different than my why at 48. It changes. It's always evolving. But it's those experiences, those bad ones and the good ones. I saw the heart of people. I saw how nurturing strangers could be toward other people. So it's not always bad and it's not always good, but it's those experiences. It depends on how you're brought up, right? What kind of home life you have as a child, what type of home life you have as a teenager, how hard you had to fight to get out of a certain circumstance if that was the case. You know, it just makes sense to say you're more likely to be happy when you are living a life that lines up with your purpose, right? When you're living a life that lines up with that purpose, that's your why. And so this kind of pushes me through and brings me into the world of BV because, yes, you have a life outside. Believe it or not, you have a life outside of the world of bearded villains, right? No matter how big of a footprint BV is in your life, no matter how much, in some cases, for some people probably, a stranglehold that BV has in your life. But no matter how big that is, you have a life outside BV. But everybody finds the bearded villains for their own why, right? And we've kind of delved into that a little bit before. And we talked about it with other brothers in different formats. Everybody finds bearded villains for their own reasons. And everybody's not the same. What were you seeking? Were you seeking the bonds of brotherhood that you had maybe in another time in your life and you missed it? Were you seeking those bonds of brotherhood because you never had it and you saw it and you thought you wanted and needed that?